Cheers! Welcome to Movie Bitches, episode 229. Tonight we're reviewing Joker. Well, first things first, shout out to our wine sponsor, Wink, trywink.com/moviebitches. You get $22 off your first month of wine. I feel like you're going to drink it all after this movie. I would not recommend it
don't drink it during
movie.
No, but you might need a drink after.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might not be a bad idea.
So please make sure to click subscribe and share, tell all your friends about Movie Bitches. Be like, oh my god, these people are hilarious, you should watch them. And click the thumbs up button, comment, and tell us, fabulous stuff. We saw this movie at TIFF, #TIFF19.
Stop trying to make TIFF19 happen.
It's not going to happen.
Joker, again, another over 2.5 hour movie.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of those recently. Some were more successful than others. I thought this one was too long, but not extraordinarily so.
I felt like, well, no, I guess that's true. I would say this one didn't feel any much longer to me than Knives Out.
Do you remember when we left the theater and
No.
I said, well, that got a little self-indulgent. A little self-indulgent? You were like...
Oh, I was very angry for the large portion of the movie. Well, because it was just so, like, it was really up its own ass, but then I turned.
The end really got you.
Yeah.
Well, I would say...
And I realized why. Like, it built to something.
It did.
And I don't mind self-indulgence or this kind of pretentiousness or whatever if it's for a purpose and a point. And they really did, it was worth it.
It was worth it in the end. I still think it's a little long. There was just a few too many scenes of, and here's Joaquin Phoenix shirtlessly and skinnily laughing.
That's true.
And like just a little bit.
That's really.
There's a few, just like trim them or cut just 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Just because I was starting to be like, okay, I get it.
I take it back now. I remember. I think
now?
I checked my watch 2 or 3 times. So.
I'm bringing you back.
Yeah.
But in the end, it was worth it.
Exactly. So this movie was really good. It was also really kind of depressing.
I mean, it was a lot. I feel like I have a lot of feelings about Joker. I mean, this definitely has to be the best DC. Of the new tier. Obviously, Tim Burton's Batman's special place in my heart. But this has to be like the best DC movie.
Yeah, it's certainly the most
of late,
artistic,
certainly
or
of late,
competently made, and
it's a real movie.
It's a real that was what's funny though, is that this is like a real, almost indie movie.
I walked out of the theater and I was like, that was a searing drama about mental illness. Not really sure who this is marketed for. This over 2.5 hour comic book film that has barely any action and is just a real dramatic tale. It was just.
Yeah.
I was going, I don't know.
I would say you could go see it.
I would recommend it. It was hard to watch at times.
Yes.
It was thought-provoking. It was cringy. It was funny. It was campy. It was a lot of things.
It was a lot of things.
And I certainly was conflicted about it and thought about it afterwards.
Yeah. I guess the only thing for me, I would say, trigger alert, if you've been impacted by gun violence,
yes,
this is one to skip.
Yeah, it was definitely triggering just in that it was so powerful, I would say. It's heavy and dramatic, and I wouldn't say there was an overabundance of gun violence.
No.
Certainly by comparison to every other fucking action movie.
Oh, I think that's the difference.
But it was so real, which I think is more important of a film.
Absolutely.
You look at John Wick, and you're just like, I mean, were they using guns? Did 10,000 people die? Oh yeah, I guess that happened. There's no impact. It's just, whoa, cool! And this was so much more than that, so I think almost John Wick is more irresponsible in some ways. In
a completely different way.
In a different way.
And that's what's interesting. I think the best thing about this movie is that at least, if nothing else, it brings up these kind of conversations and thoughts and
it's a conversation starter,
it is.
For sure.
It is.
Which is...
Who would think?
Todd Phillips, the guy who did the Hangover movies, directed this movie.
That's crazy.
It's like a new Todd Phillips dramatic comic book film is one of the most thought-provoking movies, but it's true.
It's true.
It's crazy, and obviously that is greatly helped by Joaquin Phoenix's performance.
Oh my god! I mean, he will win the Oscar. I have to imagine.
Most assuredly will be nominated.
Oh yes.
will probably win because he's never won. He held the movie without his performance. Like I was reading about it, and Leonardo DiCaprio had been up for, been like in the running. I was like, oh no. The look is wrong.
Oh yeah, sure.
Like Joaquin has that thing where he's handsome in a real,
who I think could have done
creepy way. Gary Oldman 20 years ago.
Sure. Or Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yes, but no. He could do it. It wouldn't have been as good.
Sure.
That's what I'd say. Even though I do love, I really like Jake Gyllenhaal.
It would have been like Donnie Darko later,
The later years. It would have been, I feel like it would have been campier.
Yes.
With Jake.
I mean, we saw Velvet Buzzsaw.
And Nightcrawler. I mean, let's be honest. Nightcrawler was pretty fucking campy.
Yeah. No, Joaquin, I thought really...
I mean, I've loved him for...
Sure.
Since Gladiator. Since Space Camp, excuse me.
It was one of the more spectacular acting jobs that I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
And it made a difference. It was the right combination of things that it came together to become really powerful.
Well, I was reading interviews and he was like, I wanted his mental illness and his character to be undefinable. Particularly by like a psychologist.
Sure.
He was like, I don't want a psychologist to be able to watch this film and go, oh, he's bipolar, or he's this, like, he can't be categorized psychologically. And I was like, you can tell.
Yeah.
There's a lot of layers.
Well, there were a lot of layers. This movie has to ride a really thin line. And it does, I think, overall a very, very good job of doing that. Where it's like, you don't want to glorify a villain who, gets angry at people and shoots them.
Right.
That's bad.
But you also want to be able to humanize that person.
Exactly.
And
without villainizing mental illness.
Yes. I mean, it's a tightrope.
Yes. And I think he did a really good job of like, where it's like, we see this system that's letting him down. There's mental illness and we're not doing anything to help you, and everyone around you is actively making it worse or treating you poorly. And then you also have this switch into just pure villainy where it's just like, well, now you're just evil. Like he's lost any sort of moral compass or code or shits to give.
Yes.
But that's the part that scared me. And that was where...
But I think that was the point.
Yes.
To a certain extent,
and that is
this movie was supposed to scare you.
That's true.
And it's not glorifying him.
No, that's when he becomes the villain.
And so I think like my watching of it, I wasn't like, ooh, yeah, now he's the Joker. I'm excited. That was not my response. My response was, oh no.
Yes.
Oh, this person is a villain, and I can still have empathy for a human.
Sure.
He's still a human with vulnerabilities and issues that I can see because we saw the first 2 hours of the film.
Well, but for that first 2 hours, he was redeemable.
Yes.
And then he turns, and then he becomes irredeemable.
I think what you're responding to is, I think certain people will watch this movie and go, yeah,
right,
now he's the Joker, fuck yeah, anarchy, which is not what I want.
Right, I just, like, in my head I was watching this and like the last scene and everything, and all I could remember was like, do you remember when V for Vendetta came out and everyone was wearing the stupid anonymous masks? I mean, they're not stupid, but
Guy
like...
Fawkes masks.
Yeah, the Guy Fawkes mask, sorry. Yes. They have all these people wearing these clown masks, and I was just like, oh god, first of all, we're gonna have to deal with that all Halloween.
Oh yeah. I mean,
which is gonna be terrifying. Like, I don't know, that's just...
I mean, it's Halloween.
But like...
That's the point,
But in a different way. It's gonna be terrifying, not because it's like, ooh, oh my god, scary clown. But
don't worry, it's not scary at all.
Oh, good.
You're fine. Joker is a much scarier portrait of a clown than it. Just putting it out there.
No, but I mean, I don't know. Like, for me, I feel like it'll be scary in today's current climate to see a bunch of people walking around with these masks that represent this
anarchy
thing
and uprising and
violence and guns and like, it's gonna make people uncomfortable, and it would make me uncomfortable, I think. But I guess that's good that it's bringing it up. It's a tough.
It's a tightrope.
Conflicting.
It is a tight rope.
Yeah.
And I appreciated a movie that made me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
A comic book movie that made me feel uncomfortable, and think about solutions and think about all the different aspects of this issue, because it's a spider's web. We left the theater and it was like crowded where we were, and I was like, I gotta go be alone.
Yes,
So
I need to be away from people.
It was effective.
It was. I mean, speaking of crowds though, should we talk about how, and I don't know what this says about us, but how we were the only two people in the theater that laughed at two different moments.
I mean, we were the only people that laughed at the campy parts of the movie.
Well, basically, yeah. Well, I guess we should say spoiler alert.
Oh shit, yeah, we haven't really spoiled anything.
We haven't spoiled anything yet. So, spoiler alert from here on out, there will be spoilers. You should go see it.
Yes.
You could pause at this point and come back and finish up later if you would like.
Yeah, if you're at all interested in DC stuff, comic book, I mean, it's not a... I hesitate to call it a comic book movie, even though it is, but
right.
If you're interested in like I said, a depressing and searing 2.5-hour drama starring Joaquin Phoenix about mental illness and societal decay. I mean, it was all of that.
It really was.
But yes, go see it and then come back.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I do think that Todd Phillips, and maybe this was in the credits, we didn't say the whole time, and the credits were quite lengthy, does owe Martin Scorsese a check, at least. I mean, this movie was so incredibly influenced by King of Comedy, which is my favorite Scorsese movie. It's his only comedy? One of them.
Is it a comedy?
It's a dark black comedy, and it's one of the best. I think it's fantastic. Robert De Niro, Sandra Bernhard.
Who's in this movie?
Jerry Lewis.
Robert De Niro, not Sandra Bernhard.
I wish Sandra Bernhard was in this movie. I mean, always, because she gets it.
Oh yeah.
Guess who gets it? She does. So the whole time it started, I was like, oh, this is like King of Comedy. It kept going. I was like, well, this is just. Well, then now it's. Oh, and now Robert De Niro's here, and now he's playing the Jerry Lewis character from King of Comedy, which was. And now we're, okay, I mean, he definitely owes him a check. What if the Joker was set in the world of King of Comedy? It was sort of like that, like
sure.
70s New York, disgusting, like stand-up comedy scene, late
Gotham?
night. It's Gotham, that's right. And whenever they said Gotham, I was like...
I like that they would just, it's like, it's King of Comedy, but set in Gotham.
No, I mean, that's the tagline. It is King of Comedy set in Gotham. If you haven't seen The King of Comedy, do yourself a favor. Go watch it. It's fantastic. Can we talk about his laughing condition?
Yeah.
Basically, Joaquin Phoenix laughs inappropriately at the wrong time. His emotions are sort of, crisscrossed, and if something's intense, he'll laugh or whatever it is. And he's got a little card that says, please excuse me. I have a condition where I laugh, uncontrollably.
I laugh when it's not my feelings or
my feelings don't
match.
Exactly. It's like Tourette's with laughing, kind of.
Yes, and I feel like I've heard of this before. I think typically what I've heard of it. It was like after like an injury, like a traumatic injury.
Traumatic brain injury.
And it like kind of rewired, like their brain, gets crisscrossed, for lack of a better word.
Right.
I don't know really the science behind it, but I found this very interesting, especially, and I don't know if this is part of the mythos or not. I don't know anything about the comic books. I'm sorry.
Well, the thing with the Joker is, in the comics and in tradition, is his origin story. The reason some people are having issue with this movie existing is the whole deal with the Joker's origin story is he tells everyone a different horrible origin story. And that's the sort of mythos of the Joker, is that you never really know how he was formed, because he told Batman this story, but he told that person this story, and no one can really trace it back to the truth. Which, I mean, I guess you could say...
This is just a different one then.
This is just a different one? So no one knows.
Sure.
There's countless variations of his origin.
Gotcha.
But I was actually wondering if the laughing thing, within the context of this movie, was real, or if it had been put upon him by his abusive mother.
It kind of seemed like, remember, she said, like, oh, his stepfather or whatever apparently abused him, and then she did or did not, or she let it go by or whatever, but she was like, oh, he was always a happy baby. He was always so happy. Oh, he was tied to the radiator, and he was always smiling and laughing.
So maybe it was like that was
just, and she didn't...
It was undiagnosed.
Right.
For so long.
And then it became, just put on a smile, put on a happy face.
Oof.
And
yeah, you're right.
And then it compounds and becomes this whole thing. And so, like, that's how I read it.
You're right.
Which...
I forgot about that line where she was like, he was such a happy baby. I was like, oh, fuck, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
which means that he was then always so miserable, which he says later on, I've never been happy ever in my life.
I've never had, like, a moment of happiness,
And he was like, it was really rough. It was really rough. Now, I will say this, though.
Yeah.
once he becomes the Joker, it seems like perhaps he somehow has a little bit more control over the laughter.
I think it's something about he's been powerless his entire life, an abused child, the system, he's never had a foot in the door, he's never had a step up, he's always been behind and always been out of control.
Yes.
And his Joker persona, he's finally being praised and has control over these mobs and is feeling confident, and therefore that's why I was kind of relating it somewhat to Tourette's, because it's like emotionally triggering, and so since he was feeling different emotions, it changed.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, and I think that's really interesting.
And we're having this conversation
about the Joker.
A comic book movie.
And I think that's interesting that he said though that there's no way to diagnose him. He's the Joker.
Exciting to talk about.
Sure, it's at least interesting.
Yes.
Instead of just shellacked, vapid nonsense Aquaman. I mean, Aquaman was entertaining in some way.
In a different way.
Very different way.
It's weird to put them in the same universe, like DC universe.
Right.
Well, and Todd Phillips has talked about how he wanted it to be a standalone. Like it was not.
This is not part of the Justice League.
It's not. Thank God.
Yeah.
Well, no. Okay, I just like that movie for different reasons. Well, and I will say this: I think this is the only comic book movie that's ever made me cry. When Joaquin Phoenix is at home with his mother, and they're watching, late night with Robert De Niro. I forget his real name or his character's name in the.
You do?
Oh, Murray. But I forget the other name. His last name.
Doesn't matter.
We'll talk about Murray.
Yeah.
Murray. Oh, so he's at home with his mom. We've established that his life is pretty shit, and he's just trying to maintain, and he's taking care of his ailing mother, and everything is a bit gray and depressing, and he comes home to watch his favorite show, Robert De Niro, late night, and without knowing it at first, we go into this fantasy sequence.
Yes.
What's your name?
My name's Arthur.
Well, there's something special about you, Arthur, I could tell.
He picks him out of the crowd, that very teenage fantasy of, and then I'll be discovered at the soda fountain, just like Lana Turner. Oh, who are you? Oh, why don't you come on stage? Who, me? Oh my God, I couldn't possibly. And they have a little back and forth, and Joaquin Phoenix is so happy in this fantasy. And then Robert De Niro, he's talking about his career, and I've got all this, and I've got that, and he goes, but I'd give it all up for a son like you. Cried. Because it was so horribly sad. Yeah. This fantasy world and all of it, but he was so happy in that moment to hear it. I was cried.
The way that they handled because then also the scene later on when he's done his stand-up and then he's watching and he's on the show.
When I was a little boy and told people I was going to be a comedian, everyone laughed at me. Well, no one's laughing now.
You can say that again.
Ooh, that was really rough for me.
That was rough.
Where it was just the cruelty, and it really actually reminded me of the Amy documentary.
Yeah.
Where it's just these late night shows and stuff like this, where it's people just making jokes about, she's gonna go back to rehab,
she's a crackhead, or you're this is someone's life.
I thought that documentary did a really good job of showing the complicitness.
Complacency.
No, complicitness.
Well, both.
Both.
The complacency in being complicit with
with just
perpetuating
exactly. Yeah. And you got to see the other side of that, where it's this is a real person that you're making fun of.
I will say I was sad for him, but I was also get it, publicity is publicity.
Well,
he just showed your stand-up on his national television program. Maybe that's my problem, but I was
I like that optimistic take on it.
I try to be Pollyanna when I can. Oh boy. But no, I thought they did handle the delusions and fantasies very well.
Yes. They tricked me with his date.
It tricked you? I kept having an inkling. So Zazie Beetz is his neighbor, a single mom, and she was really good. I liked her a lot.
Yeah, she's great.
They kind of have a moment in the elevator that's no, life sucks, right? I know. And he sort of latches on to that. Then there's all these scenes of them sort of meeting and him being nice, and they're sort of flirting, and she's into him. And they're going on a date, and she's championing him. Yeah. And I just kept on having this but is she there a Stockholm? Like, I was just like, but it just feels wrong. I'm so happy for him if this is earnest.
Right.
I'm so happy for him if she also finds something in him that is...
I was just like so confused.
I hope that... And then it was revealed that it was all a fantasy, and I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But also, oh.
So quick commercial break, and we will be back with more depressing...
I mean, it's not all depressing.
No, it's not all depressing. I mean, we'll be back with some campy moments of levity, because actually it was...
I mean, I enjoyed it.
I would say I really enjoyed the last bit because it became so campy, and we'll talk about it. So, come back. I love, like, looking back now, realizing that I definitely had a crush on Chris O'Donnell, even though I didn't realize it.
I like that Robin guy.
Oh yeah, he's very handsome and cute.
I see a lot of myself in that Robin guy.
Thank you, Joel Schumacher. So, should we talk about the...
first campy moment?
This was so crazy to me. Okay, so he's in the subway.
Yeah.
And there's these creepy guys that are
he's dressed like a clown.
Yes, he's dressed
His
all like...
day job is clowning.
Uh-huh.
Clowning around.
There's these douchey, yuppie guys who are...
yuppie Wall Street, you know, bro-y, we probably just did coke.
Yep, and now we're gonna harass this woman.
Yes.
Who kind of looks over to him for, like, at least there's someone else here, help kind of thing.
I mean, it's pretty great. So they're on the subway. There's a woman by herself reading a book, which I can really relate to. Don't talk to me.
Book, don't talk to me.
I'm reading my book. It's the 70s in Gotham. Please leave me alone. Anyway, 3 possibly high on cocaine, douchebaggy, definitely full of rape, stockbroker guys.
Definitely full of rape.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously the term for it, right? To my left, a terrifying clown who looks...
I'm gonna change cars.
Like, I mean, first and foremost, don't get in that car.
Right.
But also, so your options are not great, regardless.
No.
But the fact that these yuppie assholes are so upsetting that she turns to terrifying clown man to be like, maybe you can help me?
Yeah.
Says a lot. That's all I'll say.
Yep.
We've set the scene.
Yep. So they keep harassing her. Then she gets up and leaves. She's like, I'm going to a different car with people in it.
She made a great choice.
Great choice. But then they start picking on him.
Because he starts laughing uncomfortably.
Oh, yes. I don't know what choice this was.
Oh, it was the best choice.
I mean...
This is why I think this movie's great.
Sure.
Choices like this.
One of the Wall Street bros just starts going, isn't it rich? Aren't we a pair? Me here at last on the ground, you in midair. Like, what the fuck is going on? Just start singing Send in the Clowns because that Sondheim musical was hot in the 70s in Gotham. I'm confused.
Mind you, we're in a completely packed, gigantic theater.
Oh, yeah.
Full of critics laughing our asses off.
Just
us! Send in the clowns. And they're like, you know, it's like a horror movie. You know, they're like creeping up on it.
Oh, yeah.
The lights keep on, like, you know, they're going through tunnels and the lights are
they're like
flashing
about to
on
beat
and off.
him up, and you're just like, but like
Why
scoring his own.
Why does he know the lyrics to Send in the Clowns? That's what I wanted to know.
I really
Are
wanted
we
to know.
informing his character? Is he repressing something? I want to know about it.
I wanted to know. Was it just like that was the hot musical going on right now? Was it that that's the only musical that's within his range?
I mean, I'd like to create some sort of backstory where he had a thoughtful uncle that taught him Broadway musicals, but then he rejected that artistic life and went to full of rape, bro-y Wall Street douchebag.
Sure.
But he was remembering.
I still don't know.
I know that I loved it. I know that.
I mean, I really enjoyed this. Which is weird because it was such an upsetting scene.
But I think
Also,
that's
can
why
we talk
it's
about
so
what
good.
was everyone's obsession with, like, really aggressively kicking people while they're down?
I think it was this toxic masculinity of he's weak. We're all struggling in this downtrodden situation as well. Like, at least with the gang at the beginning that beat him up. It was like, we've got nothing better to do. You know, like, we have to insert power. It was all about who had power and why.
Sure.
The whole movie.
Yeah.
And so I think it was we're going to assert our dominance over this weaker person who can't defend himself.
So that we can feel more powerful.
So that we can feel
in
more
this
powerful.
powerless society that we live in.
Yes. I think that's the thesis of the movie, really.
Yeah, yes.
It was very male. It was very bro.
Yes.
Everyone had different shades of it, but like, not Bruce Wayne, but his dad.
Oh, yeah.
Wayne.
Thomas? No.
Maybe.
Something like that.
Anyway, Papa Wayne.
Yeah.
You know, even he, this pillar of society, this rich man who's giving away, you know, in all the other stories, mostly, is touted as, you know, this innovator who's bringing Gotham back to its, you know, what it should be, and all of these things, is a total fucking asshole in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was a good movie.
It was.
Interesting. But so there's Send in the Clowns. And earlier it's been established that Joaquin Phoenix's co-worker gave him a gun for protection because he was gotten beaten up before. And very violently, but not in a Paul Verhoeven way, not in a squibby 80s explosive way, in a just like real and dramatically sad way. He shoots all three of them. One of them gets away.
Oh yeah, and he chases him into the subway
down.
station.
He's a terrifying clown.
Yep. Shoots him in the stairs of the subway.
I mean, the way it handled violence. See, I think it did a really good job of highlighting that violence should be upsetting.
Absolutely.
Where, like, not to just keep saying John Wick, but like where a movie like that is glorifying violence.
Absolutely.
And it makes you go, well, it's not real.
And there's
no consequence.
It's nullifying the violence.
Yes. And dulling your senses to the violence.
Yeah.
And this picked its moment so deftly of when there was violence.
Oh
and
my God.
how violent it was. This was the most upsetting violence I've seen in a really long time.
Absolutely.
It was actually effective.
Yeah.
This wide shot of our protagonist just assassinating point blank this innocent man who might be an asshole and a gross person, but like certainly doesn't deserve to be shot in the head.
Yeah.
It was dark.
It was dark. It was dark.
I was like, ha ha ha, Sondheim. Oh. Which is what I think is so great.
And that was, it was interesting, and I appreciated that the first violence, they gave us this campy moment to then, in some ways, also knock you off your guard, where you're kind of like, well, what's going on? Oh my God.
It was true. Campy, then horrifically violent and stark, and then campy again when he just has to do his, like, cool down Tai Chi after his murder, which was a lot.
It was a lot.
But I was like, okay. I mean, he's just... This movie made a lot of interesting choices.
Yes, there was a lot of thought behind everything.
Varying shades of gray. All the different aspects.
While still very human.
Very human and not really picking a side.
You're right, it doesn't pick a side, and it's almost just kind of like a study in timelines, where it's like, this is the dark timeline, where you take these set of people and this set of circumstances or whatever, and if all of these things line up one way, then it goes real dark. And if they had lined up a different way, and that's kind of what's interesting too with those fantasy sequences, if they had gone that way, who's to say what would have happened?
Would it have been different? I'm glad it didn't, but I thought there would be more of a Batman study versus Joker. I'm really glad there wasn't. Batman, I mean, he's like a child, but he's like barely in the movie.
Yeah.
But
I mean, of course, we still had to have the goddamn alley scene.
My parents got murdered at the opera scene. I was like, I'm cool.
But it was a movie theater.
But it was a movie theater. We'll talk about the movie theater. I had questions. You could say the same thing about Bruce Wayne. He too had horrible childhood trauma. His parents were murdered in front of him. If he didn't have money and resource and Alfred and etc., he very easily could have become the Joker.
Sure.
So it's an interesting. It didn't really do that.
No.
But you can.
But it kind of lays the groundwork for it.
And then we're just gonna.
It's all there for you to pick up or not.
Exactly.
The movie then really turns. He goes to the dark Gotham. What's it called? The
Arkham Asylum.
Arkham Asylum, and grabs the files on his mother who was there, and then she apparently adopted him. Now this was all interesting too. So like she claims that he's the son of Thomas Wayne, Papa Wayne, and her.
Yes.
And that he, kind of forsake them. We find out later they claim that she was crazy, that she adopted him, and that had an abusive stepfather, etc., etc. Who's to say how much of what is true?
It's true, because who's letting this woman who was in an insane asylum adopt a child?
Right.
At least ask that question.
Yeah.
But yes, there's again differing, and this is, I think, the filmmaker's way of playing with that idea of what is the Joker's true origin. You know, you go through the whole movie, through the middle part of the movie, and you're thinking, oh shit, that means Batman and him
are
half brothers. Right. You know, because the mom used to work for the Wayne family and, you know, had this illicit affair with the dad, according to her, and she keeps trying to write him letters, and it's all this very dramatic soap opera.
Yeah.
You know, usually in the comics, it's like the Joker's like in Dark Knight when he's like talking about how he got his scars, and then it's all bullshit. In this movie, it's like the Joker doesn't even know what's real.
Sure. And so it gets really dark where he then just believes what the
file says.
Yes, and I don't know, you know, what percentage of what is true and whatever.
I don't think you're supposed to know or ever know.
Exactly. That's the trigger. He
smothers his mother,
and murders her in the hospital.
I like that the scene where he smothers his mother with a pillow was not the most upsetting scene, even though it was very upsetting.
Yeah.
I mean, that happened in this movie.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it gets so dark.
So dark. I thought Frances Conroy was great as his mom, though.
Oh, yeah.
She's always
good.
Great.
Yeah, and then he murders his friend who gave him the gun.
Well, I mean, we have to break this scene down.
Oh my God.
This, to me, was the most upsetting.
Sure.
This was the most upsetting scene. He's killed his mother.
Yep.
Everything is horrible. He's about to go on...
on the Murray
show. The riots are culminating. You know, like, the people are dressing up like him. Like, he's feeling this power. And inopportune moment, his coworker who gave him the gun and then got him fired.
They come to like, we heard about your mom. We're so sorry. We brought a bottle of booze. Are you okay?
Yeah, and the guy who gave him the gun is obviously being like disingenuous. And then there's a little person who worked there too.
Oh, and this was interesting.
This scene was so upsetting, and it did such a good job of waiting and just sort of, oh my God, and he just murders.
Well, so the guy who gave him the gun, makes like a midget joke or something. You know, he's like, right. You midgets. You know, like, and we'd heard it before,
right?
And this time it was like, ooh, this is.
You picked the wrong moment to be insensitive. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no. I mean, we don't have to describe it in detail because it's quite graphic and disturbing.
Yes.
But he brutally and graphically and horrifically murders the coworker.
And then bashes his head in.
And then
it was really upsetting.
And so then, meanwhile, the other coworker,
the little person is like, holy
just standing
fuck.
in the corner, terrified.
Like you would be, and he's just like, fuck, I'm dead. Like he's gonna murder me. Oh my God.
You could see the terror. Like he did a great job, the actor.
Hugging this bleeding corpse of this man he just murdered, and he's like, it's cool, you can get out of here.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Oh my God.
So then he goes to leave, and the deadbolt is on, and he can't reach it. And it's just like this. And then, so in my head, I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, did he do this to fuck with him?
Yeah.
But no, so he has to ask, like, hey
Arthur.
Arthur, can you let me out? And he's like, oh, sure, buddy. And then it's just like, you were always real nice to me. None
of this murder or violence is appropriate, but he certainly never killed anyone that he felt was in his same position.
Or felt
that was
hadn't earned it, like deserved it. Which is, I mean, so now we're at...
Oh boy.
I mean, this is where it gets really campy. He's all dressed up and ready to go. He's dyed his hair green and he's put his makeup on and he's like the Joker now.
Yeah. And he has Robert De Niro announce him as Joker.
The Joker.
I mean, this was just the king of comedy. Like, this was just... So he's going to be a guest on the Murray show. This is when he's gone full off the rails.
Yes.
Robert De Niro and him I mean, they're obviously both great actors, so, like, it elevated what was happening. But he comes out and kisses that Dr. Ruth woman. I mean, it wasn't Dr. Ruth, but like, it looked like her. And I was like, assault, this is assault.
Yes, oh, that's right. He like fully makes out with her. It was really uncomfortable.
And then the rest of the interview, even before the violence that ensues, she's like upset.
Yeah.
And they showed that. And I was like, yeah. Like.
Yeah, because they're talking about like, he basically brings up the whole thing because he's dressed like the subway killer. And then he reveals that he was the murderer.
He was the subway killer. Well, and in many ways, by him doing that, by him assaulting that woman, he is transforming into those assholes that he killed.
Sure. That's interesting.
It's all happening.
The power.
The power, the toxic masculinity.
He's drunk on the power. Mm-hmm. So then, everything's very serious and the topic is very serious and he's just camping it up. Murray!
What do you think, Murray?
Murray!
And Robert De Niro is just trying to conduct like this serious interview with this person confessing to a very serious crime dressed like a clown on his show. Like, it was so tense.
Yes.
And yet Joaquin is doing all of this performative, just like, Murray. Like, he's pretending like he's just on a regular talk show being a cheeky, like, celebrity.
Yes.
And everyone's like, you could hear a pin drop, like, but dude, like, this is fucked.
Yeah.
It was so good.
It was so good. And then he shoots him on live television.
In the brain, like, right.
In the head.
Just, oof.
Yeah.
This was the most triggering.
Sure.
For
what
you're talking
absolutely.
about.
Absolutely.
And this, of course, incites a riot, and all of the insane clown posse.
Who are already out there and collected because it was like there was a demonstration about how, Gotham
riot.
is not treating people and whatever.
Yeah. We have to go back.
Okay.
I forgot.
Okay.
When he confronts, two things to take it back. Scariest part of the movie, like the most like, oh, I'm scared part of the movie is when Bruce Wayne, as a little kid, is just like, yeah, da-da-da-da, I'm a rich kid walking through the grounds, and like behind a bush, Joaquin Phoenix is just like,
Hey, little kid.
and he just has like just a clown nose.
That's right.
I was like, whoa! I was like, oh, that was scarier than anything in it.
It was definitely the scariest clown. I mean,
oh.
it's like, no kid, run away.
I know the fact that Bruce was like, hey, should we chat?
Right.
No, run! What the fuck are you
I'm
doing?
gonna talk to you and touch you in between this gate. No.
Hi, my name's Arthur. Okay, bye!
Bye, creepy man. Stranger danger. Stranger danger.
A lot of this movie, I was like, if you see something, say something.
Yes.
What are we doing? He brought a gun to a children's hospital, and all that happened to him was that he was fired.
Right. No.
No. The other part I'm going to talk about was he goes to confront Thomas Wayne. I hope that's his name.
Papa Wayne.
Papa Wayne. And it's this huge gala. Everyone's dressed in black tie, and they're watching Modern Times. The Charlie Chaplin movie.
Yeah. The choices were so confusing to me of pop culture. Later on, when they get murdered in the alley of the movie theater.
Yes.
What was on?
It was Zorro, the gay blade.
Right.
Which I was like, what's this choice? And there was like a Wolfen poster. It just made me laugh. It was like, Zorro, the gay blade.
Yes.
Really made me laugh.
Yeah.
But
also, there was a Charlie Chaplin.
Why would there be, yes, Charlie Chaplin was a clown in many ways. He's the clown of that generation. Like, all of it, I get it. But, like, logically, why are all of these rich people paying, seemingly top dollar to dress in black tie to go see Modern Times?
Right, not an opera.
Not an opera, or like
a live performance.
A silent auction, or some kind of whatever. It wasn't like, oh, didn't you know it's the 25th anniversary of Modern Times? Still weird.
Sure.
That was really weird.
It was, yes, the pop culture references were strange in that it was so specific and yet...
so disparately timed. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, we got Sondheim and Charlie Chaplin.
I mean.
Well, sure. But also just like, what?
So we're back.
Yeah.
He shot Robert De Niro in the face.
Oh boy, yeah.
And he gets arrested.
Yes.
He's laughing in the back of the police car, and the
sideswiped
by an ambulance, and his mob.
An ambulance driven by clowns.
Yes, his mob. They've all embraced him. He's, yes, I'm their leader. I'm powerful. I'm all of these things. I've completed my mission? ?
Yeah, and then we see the Wayne murder. I'm a little confused about this because so little Bruce, 8 years old, whatever.
Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix, not little, 40 years, 35, 40?
40 something.
Wouldn't he be like an octogenarian by the time that Batman is now like an elder, like a man and fighting him?
Bruce had to grow up fast. I don't know. I don't think there's an answer.
Okay.
For you.
Maybe that's why it's going to be little Robert Pattinson.
I don't think so, but sure. That's fine. It was like 2 hours and 20 minutes into the movie, and I was like, fuck yes, we're going to sideswipe this stupid Batman origin outside of the... damn it! And it was really shoved in there.
It really was.
Really like... And then that happened. Anyway.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. But anyway, so then they cut to the Joker's in Arkham Asylum.
Yes, he's been captured. He's in Arkham. He's being interviewed again by his therapist.
Yes.
Well, why did you shoot them? Well, it's simple, you see. They couldn't carry a tune.
To save their lives.
I couldn't carry a tune to save their lives.
But this was the second time that we laughed out loud, and we were the only people in the theater.
I mean, it was hilarious.
To me, it was really
It was just so dark because it's so fucked up. And then it's a wide shot of this long white hallway. You see blood, a pool of blood.
Oh,
He's clearly murdered his therapist.
Yep.
And he's stepping in it, and he's running
Little
like a
red foot.
lunatic down the halls as Send in the Clowns is playing over there. They're chasing him, and it was just like so insane.
dark.
Fucking dark, but great. I really like this movie. It made me think. It made me feel.
Yes.
It had a powerful performance at its core. I thought it was almost deftly handled. Like, obviously it wavered here and there. It
was a tight rope, and they didn't fall off.
They did not fall off that wire.
That wire.
The wire. They didn't fall off the wire. Oh God, can you imagine if like Joseph Gordon-Levitt had played the Joker?
No, I can't.
I really think Joaquin Phoenix. I mean, it's becoming a joke to me. It's like, oh, play the Joker, you get an Oscar. Play Queen Elizabeth, you get an Oscar. You know?
So yeah, I mean, if you didn't heed our warning and you watched all of this, you could still go see it.
You can still go see it.
And it's a good but deeply affecting movie
Yeah.
with an Oscar-winning performance.
Absolutely.
Worthy.
Fair warning. It is violent. It is upsetting.
Yes.
But also important and powerful and like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Color me shocked.
Shocked.
Cheers.